enabling and progressive, the Make in India program was launched on the 25th of September 2014 by the Union government. The aim was to give the manufacturing sector a much-needed boost and make India a top global hub for foreign direct investment. Hello and welcome to our new series Make in India, where for the next few weeks we will take a look at how the journey has been for our different industrial sectors. 14 months after the launch of the Make in India campaign, we look at the challenges they've faced as well as the strides they've taken. In today's episode, we journey into a sector which, if nurtured today, will reap dividends for future generations, not just in India, but around the world. The renewable energy sector. With the global energy crisis, we turn our attention back to our basics: the sun, wind, water, and earth. India's power sector is one of the most diversified in the world. Sources of power generation range from conventional sources such as coal, lignite, natural gas, oil, hydro and nuclear power to viable non-conventional sources such as wind, solar, agricultural and domestic waste. Catering to rising energy demands, India has been increasingly diversifying into renewable energy, thereby becoming one of the world's most vibrant markets for this sector.
There are three major reasons why renewable energy is being looked at the way it is being looked at. One is, of course, it is environmentally friendly. There are no greenhouse gas emissions. The second is that it provides access to energy is a challenge today in India. 40% of the people don't have access to modern electricity, and renewables can provide them access to power very easily. The gestation period for this is very small. And the third is, it is important also from the point of view of energy security, because we are today importing almost 80% of our oil. The gas prices keep fluctuating.
At about a total installed capacity of 25,000 megawatt of wind power and about 5,000 megawatt of solar power, wind and solar are the two leading sources of renewable energy in India.
Wind is doing much better, and it's also a sector that's been developing since 1990s. So it has developed over a longer period of time, whereas the focus on solar only came about in 2010 after the National Solar Mission was announced. But the growth has been phenomenal since then. Like in 2010, we had like 2 megawatt of solar, and right now it's come up to 5.1 gigawatt.
Today, the renewable energy sector is on a fast-forward mode, with the focus of the entire nation being on maximizing the potential of our natural resources. The government's Make in India program is giving further impetus to this sector.
Ultimately, the thrust of the government is on trying to focus on how to make it easier to do business in India. And so it's not just about making actual things or products, it's also about in general how to have a more easier environment in which to do business, and it's also focused on services, because services also are ultimately things that are made in India.
Today in renewable energy sector, 100% foreign direct investment is permitted. It is on automatic route. They don't have to take any permission. And then setting of plants, renewable energy is very easy. No license is required. No environmental clearance is required. In a lot of states, it's a deemed conversion from agriculture to non-agriculture, and in some of the states, single window clearance has also started.
Besides easing out the processes of setting up renewable infrastructure for startups and existing companies, the focus is also on finances for this investment-intensive sector.
The target of 100 gigawatt, when it was announced last year in February, seemed like a far-fetched dream. But with more and more time passing, it seems that there is a lot of encouragement for the private investors to invest in this sector. So it seems more and more plausible by every day passing.
There's a defined goal, and it's not just a goal for the goal's sake, but clearly, as you'll see now, there's bids out almost every month, and these bids are supported by the central government. So overall, I think the government's listening to what investors need in terms of the credit and the commitment. Also, some of the upcoming policies are very much in line with how other countries do things.
However, the path to growth always entails some mounting obstacles, and the renewable energy sector has its fair share of challenges as well.
Cost of renewable energy is still more than that of conventional energy, and therefore, and the resources are available only in 7 to 8 states. If you look at the wind resource, of course, solar is uniformly available across the country. Now, if we force any state to buy renewable power, then the burden on the state consumers increases. And so, we have come out with renewable energy renewable energy certificates and renewable purchase obligations. So, each state will have an obligation to buy renewable power.
Despite challenges within the sector, fact remains that there is a high investment potential in the overall Indian power sector in the next 4 to 5 years, thereby providing immense opportunities in power generation, distribution, transmission and equipment. With the government's target of adding about 175 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2022, the renewable energy sector is sure on a rapid growth wave. Did you know, if used to its full potential, the sunlight that beams on Earth for 1 hour can meet the world's energy demands for an entire year? Or that one wind turbine can generate enough electricity to power up to 1,400 households. Surprising, isn't it? Now, one company that realized the value of renewable energy is today one of the fastest growing independent power producers of the country. We're talking about ReNew Power.
When we started, literally it was me and an idea to begin with, as all such startups get initiated. But then we had a few good people who joined us, and that really helped us to get the ball rolling.
ReNew Power is India's leading solar and wind energy company, committed to delivering cleaner and smarter energy choices and thereby reducing India's carbon footprint. It was founded in 2011. But the early days were difficult times for them.
First of all, we had to demonstrate the fact that we could actually get projects executed. And in India, that's not necessarily the easiest thing in the world. You have to acquire land, you have to get evacuation approvals, you have to deal with local authorities, and you have to sign PPAs. So all of that takes some doing. It's not that easy for a new company to understand the environment in India and really start executing against all of these things relatively effectively.
However, their breakthrough came when one of the largest investment banks in the world agreed to invest in ReNew Power.
We were always looking for a partner and an entrepreneur who saw things as we did and who had the right capabilities. And I think very quickly after studying the landscape, we arrived upon Sumant Sinha and the vision he had in terms of building a leading renewable energy company in India and thinking about it holistically and not particular sector, but really from the needs of the country and also the ambition of building something big. We felt that with our capital, our relationships, our experience, know-how, and Sumant's drive, we could build a big company, and that was the start.
With an increasing team strength and production capacity, the investment in the company has paid off.
We started hiring more people, we started building out more megawatts, and from that point on, our journey has actually been very interesting. We have now got to a point where we are imminently crossing 1,000 megawatts of commission capacity, and we have another 700 megawatts worth of projects where we have PPAs signed and so on. So we actually have visibility for 1,700 megawatts of total wind and solar capacity, which actually makes us the largest company in the renewable energy space in India at this point in time.
ReNew Power takes pride in the kind of work culture that the organization has been able to create for its employees.
I run a fairly open office type of environment, and that's the culture that we've tried to build through the rest of the organization as well. So I think it's been an organization building effort, and frankly, we never come to the end of that journey. That is always going to be something that we'll be having to work on, and make sure that our employees, when they come into work, are really excited, that it's a vibrant place for them to work in, and they feel really empowered and excited to deliver their best.
With each passing year, ReNew Power has set new goals. It has contributed 15% of total wind power capacity added in 2014, forayed into utility-scale solar projects and commissioned a large number of solar rooftop projects.
Creating a business is like running a marathon. You can't stop at the 5-kilometer mark and start applauding, because there's such a long race to still run. And so in some senses, I can't even say that we're at the 5-kilometer mark, because there is no end point in this activity. You just have to keep going and keep building a bigger and better company. And ultimately, if in doing that, you can create value for your shareholders and do something that is good for the country and good for future generations, it just gives you a very deep sense of satisfaction.
We've seen the potential and the power generation capacity of the renewable energy sector. After the break, we take a look at how ReNew Power is impacting the lives of people with its clean energy. Welcome back. You're with me, Simi Pasha. Now, with the unemployment rate in India hovering a little under the 5% mark and a largely young population, lack of jobs is one of the big issues that our country faces. The Make in India initiative could find a solution to this problem.
रोजगार जैसे मजदूरी वर्ग के लोग हैं, जैसे सिविल का काम था, सिविल वालों को मिला, इलेक्ट्रिकल्स वाले थे उनको मिला है, सबको रोजगार मिला है।
को रोजगार भी मिला है, कई लड़के यहाँ के जो है सिक्योरिटी गार्ड में लगे हुए हैं।
Because we operate in 28 sites in different parts of rural India, for each of our solar locations, for example, we hire almost 30 to 40 local people. And so a typical project of 50 megawatts of a solar project will employ about 50 people on a full-time basis in the areas that we operate in.
Besides generating employment, ReNew Power has also been able to fulfill some essential needs of the villagers like water and electricity.
बिजली की सबसे ज़्यादा समस्या थी, पहले 12-14 घंटे लाइट मिलती थी, इससे किसान परेशान होता था, खेतीबाड़ी कुएं में मोटर नहीं चलती थी, पानी की समस्या थी सबसे बड़ी। अब 22 घंटे लाइट मिलने लगी है इससे।
ReNew Power is also engaging local communities in these areas and running a few projects for them.
Currently, we run a program which is called the ReNew India initiative. It's about 2 years old. We have a focus which is predominantly education related, women related, environment of course, in terms of educating the communities about the importance of keeping an environment which is clean, which is sustainably utilized.
मैं जैसे गांव में सब बैठकें लेना, स्कूलों में बच्चों को स्वच्छता के बारे में समझाना, जो सोलर प्लांट से लोगों के बीच में अफवाहें हैं कि उससे गलत बात होती है, प्रदूषण फैलता है, तो उस प्रदूषण को जागरूकता फैलाना लोगों के बीच में।
पहले जो है एक खुली हुई जगह थी सामने, बाउंड्री न होने से, तो मवेशी बिल्कुल दीवार से टच होकर के निकलती, क्योंकि इसकी बाउंड्री वाल नहीं थी। ठीक है नहीं, अब हम जो है खुले में, जैसे सर्दी के विशेष सीजन में यहाँ टाट पट्टी डाल के बच्चों को आराम से पढ़ाते हैं बीसीसी पर।
The company follows the same philosophy of engagement with its employees.
We've seen that when people are engaged beyond work, they are better connected. So our CSR initiative is also not only doesn't only involve engagement with the communities, but also with employees, and we found that to be a very powerful technique.
with higher costs associated with the renewable energy sector, the demand is considerably low. But the tide is now turning. With more cost parity and conventional sources of energy, the renewable energy sector is on the threshold of rewriting the rules.
There are a lot of takers because the distribution companies in India are mandated to buy a certain amount of power from clean energy sources. And so they are buying clean energy from us. At the same time, there are various private companies which either have rooftops like the one that we're standing on right now that are keen to buy solar because it's a good thing again for them to do.
As companies and corporate houses are realizing the need to take initiatives towards a clean environment, the demand for renewable energy is also steadily increasing. Hence, being the market leader in this sector, ReNew Power becomes the most natural choice for clients.
We got in touch with ReNew people on solar. We were looking for some person who can come and support us in the solar because solar is an energy which is cheaper as compared to that. But definitely we have restriction, but they have done a good job in time.
Last year we have contracted ReNew Power to supply these solar panels. Pune is a 60 years old factory. The roofs were not designed for the solar installations. So it was a little bit tricky thing. However, the technology what has been applied is in such a way that the solar panels are put up in a non-destructive way on the roof. See, through the inverter, the solar power is drawn in the total grid. So we are having a mix of say 95% of the grid power and then 5% from our own solar power. So it is mixed and it is used for all the operations. These 4,000 panels are supplying almost 5,000 units per day, which is 5 to 7% of the power requirement of the plant. And so it is helping us to reduce not only the CO2 consumption, but it is also helping us to reduce the power bill also. We are having a CO2 consumption, CO2 emission reduction almost by 7% in what we were doing it till last year.
Renewable energy is the only technology that can pave the way forward for India's future energy needs. With over 300 sunny days, abundant wind energy potential and hydropower, clean and green energy is not just the need of the hour, but vital for sustainable development.
Well, I think, first of all, globally, I think there's a lot of focus on environment and having clean environment. And if you look at the Paris recent summit, there was a lot of focus amongst global leaders. So my view is that renewable will continue to be a large or will become a much larger portion of the overall country's generation. And if the government continues to sort of put the right emphasis, focus in the environment, a lot of the energy will come from solar and wind farms and hopefully lead to better environment and much better economics for deployment of further renewable.
If you look at this year, the growth in wind sector would be around 20% compared to last year. Solar energy sector, we see absolutely this will be exponential growth in solar energy sector, be in grid connected. Even rooftop is picking up. Today we are at 148 megawatt in rooftop. I am sure next year it will be more than 1000 to 1500 megawatt because the prices are coming down. The people are becoming confident of the technology that yes, this is delivering.
Today, renewable energy accounts for only 5% of our total energy generated. But if you look into the future, it is inevitable, given where the costs are going in solar and wind, that in fact it will add to a larger and larger amount of new capacity addition going forward. And I think 10 years from now, it is very conceivable that in fact most capacity addition comes from the area of renewable energy. and solar and wind will become the predominant sources of energy.
Make in India is an attempt to bring India to the forefront of the global economy. There's visible momentum, energy and optimism. Multiple enterprises are adopting it and doors to investments are opening up. The world's largest democracy is well on its way to becoming one of the strongest economies as well. Thank you for watching our Make in India series, which is an attempt to bring to you the growth story of India. Next week, I will take you on a journey into another vital sector of Indian manufacturing industry. So keep watching.